Sure
What's
you
next?
read?
10 and 9. 10 and 9's gotta be good. I've been
Might
there.
be every time I've eaten there twice, so those ones are good.
Okay, I think I got the camera rolling. All right, I'm gonna come. Everybody have their phones turned off?
No, mine's not the ringer somewhere.
Okay. Just shut the ringers off. Never fails that they will ring.
I watched some documentary on Ferris Bueller's Day Off the other day. Very good.
They
Really?
have a documentary.
Oh, it was just like a
On the movie.
Hollywood. What was it? It was a like behind the
Hollywood
scenes.
Insider or something.
Yeah, it was so good.
I wasn't there when you watched it.
You were there when I watched the one about.
Have you seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off? In your opinion?
Oh, I like it.
Really? I haven't seen it for a while, I can't remember.
Yeah, it's good.
It's one of my
It's
favorites.
like a classic from the 80s.
It's one of my
Well,
favorites.
shame.
I love it. Oh, because Matthew Broderick is so cute. Like, I mean, so cute.
Still.
Remember when I had a crush on him back then?
It's pretty old now.
He's what, he'd be about our age. I think in his mid to late 50s perhaps. Nobody has their phone to look it up immediately. So.
Alexa! What did you ask? How old is Matthew Broderick?
56.
Matthew Broderick is 56 years
Woo!
old.
Good job. Did you look it up before?
No.
You probably did.
That was a
He
perfect
probably-
guess. I've never looked
He
that up.
knew you were
I
going to
never
talk
get
about
those
Ferris
right. You
Bueller's
know I
Day
never
Off.
get that right.
Good movie.
So, anything new happened in anyone's lives?
Is it already started?
Oh yeah, we're already
Oh,
recording.
hello!
Talking your English accent. No, just teasing.
The whole time.
The whole time.
Now the camera's on, everybody shuts up.
Yeah, I know. Well, the camera has
Everybody
been
gets
so.
nervous.
So, anything happening new in your life? Lindsay, Brady, anything new?
Well, I guess you can edit this out. Jack pooped in the potty.
Well, that's a new thing. We don't need to edit poop out. We've talked about worse, haven't we, Doug?
Well, that's new.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Um,
Just once?
just, well, yes. It was a lot.
It was a lot, so that makes it worth 3 or 4 times. Yeah.
And he cleaned up after himself.
With his
With-
washcloth.
With his
Yeah.
washcloth, I mentioned that to your dad.
Hey, but he's got the idea down.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, cool, Mom.
Well, I was attacked by, I don't even know if it was a wasp. Have you seen any unusual flying black bugs? Anything? It's kind of like long, winged.
Yes, there was one up at the house, remember? That thing outside on the door.
Yeah, but it had a really long body.
Yes,
Yeah.
has a long body, it's black.
Yeah.
Well, I was in the shower and I happened to just be getting out the bathroom door. I was here by myself. The bathroom door was open. And as I was getting out of the shower, I see this black thing flying towards me. Of course, I didn't have my glasses on. So I grab the towel, start drying off, and that thing starts to come towards my face as I'm getting out the door. So I start swatting with this towel, going crazy, which made it mad.
Oh.
So Chase.
So, well, what I did was I got out, and then I thought, well, is it in my towel? Did I get it? Because all of a sudden it was gone.
Or was it?
I thought, could it be in the shower?
If it was.
I turned around and it was in my shower. So then I go flying out of the bathroom. So I'm running to the closet. I thought, well, I'll run to the closet, I'll get the fly swatter. So here I am, a 56-year-old naked woman running through the house for a fly swatter. And I know, Brady, that's something you don't even want to think about because it's not pretty. So I go get this fly swatter, but I still can't see that good. So I go in there and then I see it coming towards my face. I start swatting it, swatting it, swatting it. It is really getting bad. So it's just starting to fly and fly and I can't see. So I'm thinking if only I could find my glasses, I could get it. So I fumble around and grab and put my glasses on. It took me just a minute and I had that thing killed. It was smashed on your side of the bed. I smashed it.
Well, thank you.
There was its guts still on the mirror, but it gave me the willies. But then tonight, there was another one in the sink.
Ooh.
I wonder if I'm thinking of the right bug.
I
Because it was
don't
really
know.
black. It was more of a tan and it didn't really move
But
much.
it had long wings.
Well, this had long wings, it was black, and it laid, this bug laid in the sink. It didn't move tonight, but this other one was flying through the house. So I don't know if that one was a
They were like
wasp.
coming up out of the sewer, out of the drain.
Or, you know, yeah, that's it. It'll be like a new movie.
We probably build a nest in our sheets.
That's
Lays
true.
eggs.
Probably larvae. We're probably sleeping in larvae.
I don't know. I tried to kill it. You saw me try to kill it in the sink, and it was still alive until finally you could hear me crush it. You could hear it being
Ew.
crushed.
Oh, gross.
It was disgusting.
I've
It
seen a lot
really
of
was.
praying mantises lately.
Yeah, I've seen those too. Oh, by the way, while all this was going on this evening with me killing the bug and talking about this, Doug was eating a sandwich, standing there looking at me kill the bug.
Well, listen
Welcome
to
to
this.
the Miller
though.
household.
Yeah.
Another bug story. I already told you this. Okay, yesterday at work, I'm gonna try to make it short. There was what I thought was a mud wasp nest by the ladies' bathroom door. So, well, this was after a bug had already flown into my hair, and I stood out on the porch and
Yeah.
and hoping no one saw me. So I went and got Brian. I said, "Hey, there's this mud wasp nest."
Yeah.
So he goes and extracts it from the wall there.
Yeah.
And he came in, he's like, "Lindsay, look how cool this is." So then we go back out and he's showing me that the wasp lays an egg up in the nest and then puts a paralyzed spider up in there with it, closes it off. And as the egg hatches and the larva forms, it grows and it eats that spider.
That's just
So the whole nest was just larva with a spider right next to it. And that's what it would do, the whole nest.
Huh. I never
It was
knew that.
amazing.
Do you have to wonder what is the purpose of that type of
I don't know,
stuff?
but one bee did all that
But
work.
how did it stun all? I thought
I'm gonna get my water.
Yeah, it like stuns them
use
and
the
brings
same
them back.
stinger. Because
I
some
don't know.
bees, when they lose their stinger,
Oh, maybe they bite them. They bite them? I don't know what they did, but they were like, they had to, I don't know.
I don't know if all
That
bees lose
was-
their stinger.
That was
Yeah.
Brian's take, so maybe they were dead. He thought it would make more sense if they were like kind of stunned so that they would stay alive in there. They weren't just,
Maybe
They
they,
were-
maybe they have venom of some kind.
it was pretty cool. And I felt bad that he crushed it.
That's gross.
It's
So
interesting.
anyway,
I would feel no sorrow, it's more
Do
sympathy.
you think he really knows what he's talking about?
yeah.
Yeah.
That would it made sense. There was a spider with
Sounds
every,
good.
and then he was telling me about the cicada killers, those big bees. They
Mhm.
do the same thing with cicadas. They lay like something on they lay their egg on the cicada and then the thing like eats it.
Yeah.
That's so
There.
gross.
So that was very
Amazing.
interesting.
So Doug,
Anyway.
you're in charge tonight. You came up with the topic.
Yes, I did, honey. Thank you. Well, you and Brady have already heard this since you were at our picnic on Sunday. So you
Yes.
didn't
No, I didn't.
participate because you were working. Well, I was thinking of innocence, and I think we'll all have a little something to say or tell about innocence. And we're not talking about not being guilty or not guilty of something. We're talking about the innocence. My definition is lack of worldly experience or sophistication. So, who
Well, then
best?
a lot of us are innocent.
Yeah, rednecks. We're talking about rednecks tonight.
Yeah.
But I think kids probably just fit that description better than anybody. I know you have a few things to read.
Yeah.
But kids are innocent. They haven't experienced life. Life hasn't taught them a whole lot. They don't have a whole lot of knowledge yet, and they don't worry about things. They're not weighted down by the world yet, so they can trust and that was a burp.
Doug burps in every episode. Cut.
But anyway, kids are innocent. They just approach the world with a whole different outlook than what adults do. And I think that was your phone.
Is it? Oh, well, it's gonna just stay there. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, you being a mother, do you have any stories of Jack doing things that are just innocent?
Or not worldly.
Kind of hard to come up with stuff. Kind of hard to come up with something right off the top of your head.
Well, well, go ahead. If you have something, I was gonna say probably when we talk about these other things, you'll have stories. But go ahead.
I mean, just like when we took him to get his teeth done,
Go ahead. Talk about that. Yeah.
he just went right back with that lady, trusted that she, I guess, he
Yeah.
didn't seem to have any reservations about it.
He has less fear than the rest of us because he doesn't know what's going to happen.
That's true. He didn't worry about the procedure, and
No.
he was going to be put to sleep to have 5 caps
And he
put on
had
his
no
teeth.
idea it was going to happen.
He had no idea it was going to happen. didn't really question why he was getting dressed in a little gown and,
Probably that's why he recovered so fast, because he didn't even really know what happened.
No,
Whereas we're
huh?
like, oh, my teeth have to hurt. You know, I
Yeah.
just had this procedure on my teeth. We know what happened.
but
So
so
I think that psychologically makes you
worse,
maybe
yeah,
feel like you have symptoms when
when you might
maybe
know.
not.
Yeah. He probably didn't even think why he got up so early that morning.
No.
He probably didn't think about why he was at the hospital that morning.
And why all of us were
Total
together.
different surroundings.
Mhm.
You just kept saying, we're going out tuna.
Yeah,
We're not
yeah,
real tuna.
yeah,
And I think that's the way kids approach things.
Yeah.
They just do. But kids say and do the funniest, silliest, oddest, and sometimes the smartest things without understanding, without really caring, without ego,
Mhm.
without pride,
mhm.
and they don't really care who sees them doing it either.
Yep.
Oh my, I can't quit burping.
This is a great.
Well, I have a few things I can read, and Tonya has a few things she can read. I'm not going to read them all. Here's one that says, a 3-year-old boy is sitting on the toilet. His mother thinks he has been in there too long, so she goes in to see what's up. The little boy is sitting on the toilet reading a book. But about every 10 seconds or so, he puts the book down, grips onto the toilet seat with his left hand, and hits himself on top of the head with his right hand. His mother says, Billy, are you all right? You've been in there for a while. Billy says, I'm fine, Mommy. I just haven't gone duty yet. Mother says, okay, you can stay here for a few more minutes. But Billy, why are you hitting yourself on the head? And Billy says, works for ketchup.
Yeah.
I like that. That's
Yeah, that
kinda-
is
that's
cute.
kinda simple.
That is cute. Yeah, that
That's
is.
kind of how kids think.
Well, yeah.
Let me see. When my daughter was about 7 years old, she asked me one day what I did at work. I told her I worked at the college, that my job was to teach people how to draw. She stared at me, incredulous, and said, you mean they forget?
These are just hilarious.
Well, that's really not meant to be funny. It's
That's
just,
true. These are
it's-
just things.
it's showing you how a child thinks.
But what does incredulous mean? Like, what would be the proper thing? Read that again.
She stared at me, incredulous, and said,
Yeah.
well, we're not allowed to have our phones, so we can't Google it.
Yeah,
You
look
can
it up.
ask Alexa.
Alexa.
Does it mean like,
Incredulous. Brady?
you don't know? Kind of like,
The encyclopedia brain.
I
Brady.
don't know that one.
Kind of looped.
Alexa, what does incredulous mean?
Incredulous is usually defined as not disposed or willing to believe, unbelieving.
Okay.
Okay, she's like, are you
Unbelievable.
serious?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, what? It's like people forget how
Yeah.
to draw. You know, her mom has to teach them.
Yeah, but I don't think I would have used the word incredulous is what I'm
Well, now
saying.
you will.
Yeah.
Well, let me see, I'll read a couple more, if I can find them. I like this one too, and it's really not funny, but a little boy about 10 years old was standing before a shoe store on a roadway, barefooted, peering through the window and shivering with cold. A lady approached the young boy and said, my, but you're in such deep thought staring in that window. I was asking God to give me a pair of shoes, was the boy's reply. The lady took him by the hand, went into the store, and asked the clerk to get a half a dozen pairs of socks for the boy. She then asked if she could get a basin of water and a towel. He quickly brought them to her. She took the little fellow to the back part of the store, removing her gloves, knelt down, washed his little feet, and dried them with the towel. By this time, the clerk had returned with the socks. Placing a pair upon the boy's feet, she purchased him a pair of shoes. She tied up the remaining pairs of socks and gave them to him. She patted him on the head and said, no doubt you'll be more comfortable now. As she turned to go, the astonished little boy caught her by the hand and looking up into her face with tears in his eyes asked her, are you God's wife?
Oh, now that's sweet.
Yeah.
That is
See
sweet.
how kids look at things totally
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Why don't you read some of yours and then we'll go from there.
Well, I looked up some things. Doug was going to be talking about children and innocence and how we're supposed to come to God with that same type of childlike innocence. And I thought, well, 10 things that children do better than adults. And these are quite nice. And Lindsay, you'll have probably some things to say about Jack and that you can relate to a lot of these things. Number one is they do things before they are ready. Despite the fact that they are cognitively, developmentally, and even physically unprepared for most of what the world has to offer, children are the masters of jumping feet first into the unknown waters. They aren't worried about meeting the prerequisites for new activities. They say yes first and then figure the rest out as they go. It's a strategy us security-obsessed adults could learn a little something from. Kids are living proof that we don't always have to be fully prepared in order to move forwards.
True.
And that's quite clear. You see that all the time with kids. They have no fear of anything. They are constantly, they're not scared because they don't know enough to be scared. We did a Bible study once that Doris Stifler leads, and it was called You Gotta Get Out of the Boat, I believe. To walk on water. That's what it was. I don't know if that was the title, but that was the premise of it. And we as adults are always too afraid to get out of the boat. If it's not in our comfort zone, we're going to huddle, we're going to be afraid. But kids, they're ready to go. They have no fear. They'll be hopping out of that boat even if they can't swim or do whatever else and figure it out from there. Yeah. The next one is they ask for what they want.
Mm-hmm.
Children probably get told, this one, Doug, this is going to be one that's good for just Jack, when Lindsay and Jack called down here the other night, this one. Children probably get told no more times in a day than most adults do in a year. But this doesn't discourage a child from trying again. Children know that if you want something in this world, you have to ask for it. Sometimes 1 or 70 times. How many times do you think Jack asked to come down the other night and you said nobody tomorrow night?
What about 20?
20.
He didn't.
20.
I think he it didn't even faze him that you said no.
No, he just wanted
He
to.
only wanted to hear yes.
He wanted to hear yes, and a lot of times, if he pesters me enough, he'll get a yes.
Mm-hmm.
So they think, hey, it's worth it. Adults will go to great lengths to avoid rejection. Children, on the other hand, know that it is only a part of succeeding. For every couple of times they are told no, they are probably told yes at least once. And those odds are good enough. Kids know that basking in their victories feel a whole lot better than sulking over their defeats. So I doubt Jack sulked over that defeat the other night, but he sure was going to try it. If he would have got a yes, he would have been just jumping for joy. So.
Did he sulk? Because he said bye, Pappy. He sounded
Yeah.
pretty happy when he hung up. So.
No, he didn't really.
Didn't really faze him too much.
They let themselves need people. Now this is a hard one for a lot of adults. Children, much more so than adults, understand that interdependence is a natural part of what it means to be human. While us adults take large, often counterproductive measures to preserve our images as strong, independent people, children see no point in this. They cry when they get hurt, and they run out in search of company when they're lonely. Children don't let pride hold them back. They understand the inherent need for human connection, and they find no shame in seeking it out. We'd be all a lot better off if we did that. And that in itself is, we need to do that with God in our daily lives. Know that we can't do it on our own. And God puts people in our lives to help us. He knows that we need each other. But children have no problem. They're content to cry when they hurt. Let people know it.
True.
True, so true. Look at you.
They interact with each other. I mean, younger kids, youth do. They reach out to each other where we would push other people away
Yeah.
or not even talk to someone.
Yeah, well,
Because we wanna do it
you're used
ourselves.
to being around kids at church. You have a youth group, and you see Debbie Johnson's
Yeah.
preschool there all the
Make
time.
it seem completely different, but they will talk to each other, where if we're completely different, we'll never
Won't
talk
even
to each other.
Yeah.
We're not even trying.
No, And there's even one in here that talks about that pigeon thing we were trying to figure out, so. They ask questions. Yes, your 5-year-old cousin who consistently asks you why is annoying as heck. They have the other word here. But guarantee he learns a lot more than you do every day. While most adults embrace black and white answers to complex questions, Those who keep asking why become the catalyst of change. They ask, why do we do things the way we do? They reject outdated practices and search for better solutions. Why is a question we should never stop asking, no matter how annoying it makes us seem. Where do you think that would be a good place? Where do you think you see maybe younger generations, even in the church?
Yeah.
They're not content with just old doctrine, or
Yeah, they wanna know.
they want to know.
They want some answers.
Lindsay, don't you like kind of
Mhm.
Yeah.
pick at
I'm
Brady's
still like
brain? Yeah. Yeah, Lindsay likes to have answers, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you have given her all the answers there are, right there, Brady?
All that I can give.
Yeah, but she still
Yeah,
keeps on
not
asking.
satisfied.
Yeah. Oh, goodness, but no, that's one thing, even in our faith, we should always have more questions than answers. When we think we have all the answers, then we've stopped growing. Then we have stopped letting God talk to us and lead us and guide us if we think we know it all.
Right, that's why we can't.
What's that?
That's why we can't have all the answers. We don't keep it in mind.
That's
Yeah,
true.
but why do, but okay, I'm gonna start
Go ahead,
again.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Lindsay, start. But why do we need to keep growing? Why can't we have the
That's what
answers?
life's about.
But why is life
Growing
like
in
that?
Faith, God's love, as we get
Right.
closer to Him and become more like Him.
But I don't know, I guess my thing is, why?
Yeah, I know. I do that a
Why
lot
is
too.
that the way it has to be? Why does it have to be this big growing, learning experience? Why?
If you knew all the answers, you would have no reason to search God out. You would have no reason
I
to
wouldn't have
continue.
to have a reason to search him out. He's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Why is it such a
But
big,
would your relationship be as strong if you knew everything about him? Or would it would be easy just kind of to blow it off and blow him off as if you have all the answers? Right now, you keep looking for him. You keep asking the questions. You keep wondering. So
Right.
if you knew all that,
okay, but if you're saying like relationship, isn't your relationship stronger with mom because you know her really well? And you know her, you see her?
But he doesn't
I
have
don't-
all the
I don't.
answers, do you know?
I've
Just
never
okay.
figured your mom
Okay, but see
totally
right
out.
there. If you know her,
Yeah.
you know each other,
And we,
that's what makes you stronger.
and we do start to know God, and that makes us stronger with Him.
Yes, but he isn't sitting at lunch with me at work.
Yeah,
Saying,
no,
"Hey, Liz,
not the
what are you
same
doing
way,
today?
but He's there.
Wanna go get dinner?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, sure do.
Sure.
Sure, I'll go with you, God.
But He's always present.
He's okay.
Right, but that's my whole thing is, why does it have to be that way?
Yeah,
why
that's
are we,
one
why are we
question
kept
we
so
won't know.
in the dark?
Yeah.
Where we're constantly not satisfied?
Yes.
Why can't there be just a little bit more where people are like, ah,
Well, you know, you talk to some people and they'll say, oh, no, I have all the answers. I'll tell you how it is, and you believe the way I believe, and then it'll all be okay for you.
yeah.
A child would fall for that. Adults, you know. A child would keep on asking. No, a child wouldn't. Eventually, they'll ask the questions why.
But yeah, they feel like they got a good enough answer.
They feel like they got a good enough
A child will be
answer.
satisfied to a point.
To a point.
To a point where they're not going to keep
Unless they're just trying
wondering.
to
Yeah.
get going.
Yeah. But eventually, kids do start asking a lot more.
You want to read all those, or just a couple of the good ones, or
Well, some of these are pretty good.
you can do what you want.
Okay. They move through their feelings. A kid gets hit and they bawl. A kid
Exactly.
Yes. A kid feels slighted, they complain. A kid
Yes.
feels elated, and you bet your ass. That's what she says. I'm sorry. You bet your ass they're out there screaming and shouting on the playground about it. Children feel the heck out of feelings, both the good and the bad. But they also forgive the quickest, laugh the easiest, love the strongest. By allowing themselves to be entirely emotionally present, children allow themselves to move through their emotions more quickly. Watch a child bawl over a foul ball one moment, then excitedly rejoin his peers the next, if you need proof.
Exactly. Why? At what point do we change? Are we supposed to change? Are you supposed to be different? At a certain point?
We start to change when we learn about things around us that aren't good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
When we don't accept it as it is.
I think we change gradually as we gain in knowledge. The more we learn, the more we suspect, the more we become skeptical, the more we fear. We know what can happen, what might not happen. So the more knowledge we have, the more experience we have.
Maybe
Maybe
the
that's,
adults that act like that we
lose that.
find annoying.
oh,
They're
yeah,
overly emotional.
yeah,
Because they're
dramatic,
not supposed to, they're supposed to be like us.
yeah,
Or
That's
us.
true.
But
Well,
And
like
we want them to
Lindsay.
grow up.
Yeah,
They're like
that's what I mean.
children, because they're acting like children to us.
You learn about good and evil, and isn't that the tree of knowledge? I mean, the tree, that's kind of where we fell. We fell from innocence, you know, the world distorts our view, and it just, you know, it's crappy.
Welcome to adulthood.
Welcome to adulthood. This is good. They invent solutions when they can't find any. Put two children who speak different languages into a room together, and chances are they'll find a way to communicate. Be it through hand gestures, nonverbal games, or even a temporary pidgin, which is a language, they invent on the spot. Put two adults who speak different languages in a room, and they'll shrug, give up, and start awkwardly checking their iPhones. So if, like, I'm sitting in the waiting room with a person who I can't communicate with, you know, can't talk, I'm not going to try to strike up a conversation or have anything to do with that person. I'm just going to sit there and mind my own business, maybe read a book or watch the TV in the waiting room. Kids don't care. They're just going to go out and try to play, find a way to communicate.
You're right.
Yeah.
How's that for conversation?
Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Doug. Brady, you have any input on that?
Adults, we seek out people that are like us.
Yeah.
People we're comfortable with, you know, culture, language, religion. That's what we do. We always are seeking that. You know, you stick two different kids in a room, they don't see those differences.
Yeah.
They see what's alike. They're both human. They're both, you know, they want to find that interaction, where we deny that interaction because we want something just like us.
Yeah.
That makes it hard.
That's good. That's true.
Yeah,
We're not
and
comfortable around people who are different
Takes
than
us out of
us.
our comfort zone.
Yeah.
Where did that start? You know, like,
As children, we're innocent, but
But
we
at
lose
what
that.
point?
Well,
You
we
would
still-
have
Probably
to
when
be
you-
taught to be
Probably when you go off to school, I bet.
I think it's probably different for every kid, for
Yeah.
every person.
It comes from
What your life is like.
what family they grew up in, their environment, you know, how they're schooled, how they're taught. You know, kids don't look at each other and see that they're different skin color or,
No, uh-uh.
you know, they don't care what their religion is. They don't know what religion is.
Yeah.
They don't see where that's all we are concerned about.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the differences.
Mhm. There's another one here that's does right here. They forget about self-image. Ask a child about their body. This is funny. Ask a child about their body, and they will tell you how fast they can run with their legs, how loud they can shout with their voices, how many pictures they've painted or words they have written with their hands. Children are not interested in Instagram filters or Twitter followers. They understand that their bodies and minds are merely vessels they've been given to experience life. They are interested in how they can use them to engage in the world around them, what they can learn, understand, and experience. So, you know, am I going to worry as an adult woman, how fast can I run on my legs? No, I'm going to worry, how fat are my legs, you know? How are they going to jiggle when I run? You know, that type of thing.
Yeah, kids don't care whether you're fat or skinny, you're black
No.
or white. You know, and all that stuff is learned.
It's learned
Some-
behavior.
Yep,
Yeah,
they're being taught by somebody.
yeah.
Is that my water?
No, it isn't, but you can have it if you want it. Did you have a bottle?
Do you have a
Mhm.
water?
Maybe it is your water.
I got it from downstairs on the way in.
Why would I have thought I had a bottle of water when I probably didn't? I probably drank all my bottled water. That's probably yours. There you go.
Oh, okay, thank
Okay.
you. We can share it. I just was like, it should be right here.
Oh, goodness. Let's see. This is almost done. Which one was the one you really liked?
They move forward.
They move forward. Children are incredibly psychologically resilient. They employ a range of coping strategies that adults reject. But perhaps most importantly, they employ the strategy of moving the heck on. Kids do not wallow the way adults do. Children harbor an enduring belief that the future will be better than the past, and they move towards that future enthusiastically. It doesn't matter if the future actually delivers. The optimism gives them the momentum, and the momentum moves them forward. Can you imagine living every day like that? With optimism that tomorrow is going to be better than today. There are so many people out there who have no hope. They have given up. They think that tomorrow will only get worse. How much quicker would we heal from things, or how much healthier would we be if we always woke up with a positive attitude and was just looking forward to the day and knowing that it's just going to keep on getting better and not looking back?
Well, if I could stay home and play with my John Deere tractor all day and not have to go to work, I could probably have that kind of
That's
rosy outlook.
Oh, goodness.
You take a nap whenever you want to.
Oh, that's my dream.
Take a nap whenever you want to. Once you have kids,
That's
you
your
can never
goal
do
in
that
life.
again.
Oh, I love
Yeah.
like sleeping is my favorite thing.
Well, the thing is, that's one thing that kids should really love to do too, that's not on this list. I think that should be one of the things that kids are lacking.
Sleep.
But they
That they really,
treasure.
they
those
should
moments
treasure
of
sleep instead of activity. But the last one here, we'll do this one. This is a hard one for us folks. They appreciate the absurdity of life. There is a reason children laugh significantly more than adults do, and it isn't because the jokes they tell are that much more hilarious. Children find humor in the situations that we stress out about. They laugh when something makes no sense. They laugh when a situation turns out differently than they expected. They find joy in the absurdity of what they do not understand. Whereas adults often fear what they don't understand, children are okay with simply letting some aspects of life be ridiculous. They don't expect the world to make perfect sense. They just expect to enjoy it. And as a consequence, they do. So we could be a lot more like little kids.
We should be. That's what Jesus tells us to.
Yeah, yep,
So that was a good segue right in
right in
there.
there. There.
Well, in Matthew 18, 2 through 5, Jesus didn't say, but he called a little child to him and placed the child among them. And he said, "Truly I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever takes the lowly position of this child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. And whoever welcomes one such child in my name welcomes me. If anyone causes one of these little ones, those who believe in me, to stumble, it would be better for them to have a large millstone hung around their neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea." And yes, that was Jesus speaking. We strive for such high positions in life. And Jesus is telling us whoever takes the lowly position of a child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven.
Then why do we go to adults? Can't we just all be kids forever?
That's another good question, Lindsay. I'm not sure what's going to be able to answer that
So
one.
could kids rule the world? You think?
The world is structured differently.
Or what?
The world
If
is
the world was
structured
structured differently. There you go.
There
There's
might-
your answer.
there-
That's your answer.
There might be a scripture we talked about that talks about that. In Mark 10, 13 and 16, people were bringing little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them, but the disciples rebuked them. When Jesus saw this, he was indignant. He said to them, "Let the little children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these. Truly I tell you, who will not receive the kingdom of God like a little child will never enter it." And he took the children in his arms, placed his hands on them, and blessed them. Well, apparently the disciples really wasn't listening to Jesus in the scriptures just before that, because he said you shouldn't hinder those
They didn't seem to
who
listen
want to
very
come
much
to me.
anyway.
You'd be better off drowning in the sea.
Could that be, like, say right there, right here,
Am I right or am I right?
right here, what we're talking about, these things that children do better than adults. When they're saying they'll never see the kingdom of heaven unless they come as little children. Could that be that right now we're not seeing the kingdom of heaven because we're blocking it, because we have gotten rid of all of these things that children do, how they laugh and love and forgive and enjoy life and know that tomorrow they don't have any concern. They have given up all fear. They are not worried about what they'll wear or how they'll be fed. Or so in all reality, we have taken heaven away from us. As long as we are stifling ourselves with the worries of this world and being concerned with everything that has no bearing on life, we actually strip ourselves of joy. We actually strip ourselves of communicating with God and being in His presence. So could it not be that that is more like a state of mind, that if we do not act like children and come in faith, then we'll never experience that heaven right now? Did you ever think about it that way?
Well, I think it boils down to me is Jesus is saying that we need to have the attitude of a child, especially when it comes to faith and trust and belief, and all these things that you're talking about takes that away. I mean, it makes us weak in our faith because we don't trust wholeheartedly. We don't have faith wholeheartedly, just as a child would.
Yeah,
You know, a child believes and trusts without any thought. They just do.
yeah.
To where we don't.
The kids are rocking the bench.
Well, to talk about what you were saying, you know, Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these." Is Jesus telling us that He wants us to be like children, act like children?
I don't think we should poop in our pants.
Or wipe our butts with the washcloth.
Faith and trust like children. Yeah, I think our faith is confused and blocked out by the ways of the world.
I'm just laughing, I'm sorry, not at you. Go ahead, keep talking.
Yeah, I don't think Jesus is saying be like a child. Don't act childish. You know, you don't do all these immature things as a child would do. But He does tell us that we should be childlike.
You know what, though? A lot of us adults are childish. We are, you know, even as adults, sometimes we act worse than children, and we know better. Once we've been given the light and the knowledge of God, if we stay in His presence and keep walking with Him, we will do away with those childlike behaviors, those childish behaviors, not the innocent type behaviors, but the childlike behaviors. And too often, we act like little bratty children who don't get their way than we do like Christians who should be walking in mature faith. It's,
Well, we always will.
yeah, I know.
No matter how strong we are. Paul says, "I do the things I do not want."
Whatever, can you?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Quote that scripture, Brady.
What-
I do the things I don't want to do, and I don't do the things that I should be doing, and all that.
Oh, I mean, you look at 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter. It says, "I put away, when I was a child, I acted in the ways of a child. When I became a man, I put away childish things, but in doing so, he was showing how you were supposed to love each other, and care about each other, and feel that and live that out, even though sometimes we do act like, you know, children in the way that we treat each other.
Yeah,
Even though we have God's love, we don't use the fruits of the Spirit. We don't have those good relationships.
yeah,
Well, we're human. We still live in this fallen world, so I mean, we still have our sinful side. So those are things we have to contend with.
they're, they thought.
Right?
But act like a kid.
Yeah,
Well, childlike to me was meaning innocent as a child, trusting as a child, having faith as a child, and believing as a child. And I used the example that when Jack goes to bed at night,
Uh-huh.
is he worried about tomorrow?
No,
No.
and he sleeps really well.
Yep. He knows
That's
in
good,
the
that's a
morning that,
blessing.
that you're going to be there, you're going to supply his needs. Anything that needs to be done, you will do for him. That's not even a thought for a kid.
No,
All those things are taken care of, you know. wherever you're gonna take him for the day. He doesn't have to worry or stress about those type of things. But we as adults, we do. We tend to question, worry, stress out, have anxiety, worry about tomorrow and so forth. And one author put it this way: once you open the door into the adult world, childhood and innocence has been taken away from them and from us. So I think it is whenever we learn and grow and realize what the world is. And probably the big word for me is responsibility. When we start to have responsibility, then the pressure and stress and
That's when it
worry,
begins.
that kind of leads you right into that. As adults, we have a hard time believing. We need proof. We need details. We need questions answered. The mysteries of life need to be solved. We learn to be skeptics. I think it's good to ask questions. It's good to learn and study. But I don't think we can get so focused on the study and answering the questions and solving the mysteries that we forget who we're studying. We forget the relationship aspect. And I might not know this answer today, but I'll ask God to reveal that when I'm ready for it.
Yeah. Well, the one lady, when I went to the Trace Diaz meeting the other day, the one lady said, you don't have to know everything there is in the Bible. Some people, the Bible kind of intimidates them. And that's the way we get to know God. But she said, see what that did for the Pharisees. They knew everything, but yet they missed the main point, and that was to know God. And if we know God, then we will love, we'll love, the main goal is to love God and love everyone else. And if we do that, everything takes care of itself. But we focus on everything but those things.
We miss the point.
We miss the whole
We miss the
point.
Well, Matthew 6:28 through 34. And why do you worry about clothes? See how the flowers of the field grow. They do not labor or spin, yet I tell you that not even Solomon in all his splendor was dressed like one of these. If that is how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and tomorrow is thrown into the fire, will he not much more clothe you, you of little faith? So do not worry, saying, what shall we eat, what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? For the pagans run after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Therefore do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble on its own.
That's good, but now, that's one thing that we shouldn't worry, but that doesn't mean that we should just sit on our butts and hope that God will take care of us too. I mean, you still have to get up and function,
Oh, sure.
but we need to let God lead the way. But, I mean, there's gonna be stress and worry, anxiety, because we do have to go out and put food on the table.
Where do you place that stress and that anxiety?
That's where we're supposed to turn it over to God.
Where do you put that? Do you lay in bed at night worrying about the job coming up tomorrow? Or do you give it to him and have that faith that tomorrow is already planned out, it's going to take care of itself, and we'll deal with it?
That's true. That's true. I do find myself not worrying quite like I used to. I still worry, of course, but I find myself, yeah, just a little bit. But I do find myself on things that I can't change by worry. Just saying, okay, God, I'm just going to have to put it in your hands because I can't worry about it anymore. Now, some things you shouldn't worry about, but you should be concerned for. But
Well,
I
I
am
think
trying to let go of some of that worry, things I can't change by worrying.
In my job, if I know I have a hard delivery or whatever, I don't necessarily worry about it anymore, but that doesn't mean I can't plan
Yes.
and
Yeah.
put things in order and make sure that I'm prepared as much as possible.
Yeah.
But I don't lay in bed and lose sleep at night like I used to.
And I'm sure you have stress with your job. So I'm sure there's times that you've,
You.
yeah.
Because I don't know what tomorrow, I mean, you just don't know what tomorrow brings. You
Yeah.
know, who you have to interact with. who's going to be sick, who's
Yeah.
going to be here, who's going to have a problem. You don't know.
Mm-mm.
You just have to have faith that somehow you can address it in the way it needs to be addressed, or
Mhm.
somehow handle it in that way. Preaching, I mean, to an extent you can prepare and write and do an outline, you can practice it. But until you do it, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You don't know what a reaction's going to be, so you have to have faith in God's going to give you the ability to do it.
Mhm.
Until you do that, you're only hindering yourself.
Yeah,
Worrying about it usually bringing yourself down.
it doesn't help it.
Yeah, it only diminishes your skill and ability
Mhm.
unless you trust God to do it.
Like you too at work, Lindsay.
Yeah,
You've had stress,
yeah.
but you just have to put that in God's hands and that'll give you the strength to keep on going on.
That's
Well,
true.
That is so true.
That's so true.
As adults, we tend to rely on ourselves. We can handle it, we can take care of it. Self-sufficiency, we'll deal with it. And normally after we try that so long, then we cry out to God and say, okay, I
Yeah,
can't do this.
We can't, when we finally figure out, we
Should have
just
done that in
should've
the
done it in
first
the
place.
first place.
It's almost as a society though, is we value that.
Mhm.
We look at people that are able to do that and we think we should be like that.
Yeah,
That's
And
true.
that's not actually how we're supposed to be, but that seems to be what we're driven to do. If they seem to have it together, they're doing something right.
that's right.
And if, I don't, there must be something wrong with me. But really, we're supposed to be leaning on God, we're supposed to be getting help from other people, just like the kids interacting with each other.
Yeah,
Instead, we try to do everything our way.
Yeah, we do look at those people and tend to put them a little higher on the ladder.
yeah. And we think it is weak when we need help from others.
Yeah.
We classify ourselves as weak.
I have just a couple more things. The commentary in my Bible states, Jesus did not ask us to put aside our experiences, but he does require a change of attitude. Adult self-sufficiency must recognize its need for our sovereign God. Change of our attitude, I think that's being humble, asking people for help, realizing it's not about us, shouldn't be self-sufficient.
Yeah,
We must humble ourselves and soften our skepticism before our Father. Children do not feel supremely powerful, perfectly righteous, or totally autonomous or independent. These are adult traits or fantasies learned from the loss of innocence.
I like that, or fantasies.
Fantasies, right?
Yeah,
And it's amazing how it is learned.
yes.
We're not born with all this, but we're taught and we learn from experiences. Children trust those who love them explicitly. Is God our Father? Sure he is. Are we his children? Yes, we are. Does he love us? Yes, he does.
Mhm.
And the question I have to ask, do we trust him explicitly? Well, thank you for sharing and joining in.
Let's see.
Yeah, we didn't really say much.
Hey, well, go ahead, talk. Tell us what you want to say, right now.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, love the thoughts.
Do you have any more thoughts, any more?
She'll ask you when you get home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I liked the other day when you prayed for the kids who lose their innocence too soon. There's so many children out there, children lose their innocence too soon. I think when we take away the innocence of a child, or anyone, Jesus said specifically what would be best for you, what to be.
Have
A millstone around your neck and drown in the sea.
Yeah, I don't think Jesus takes that too lightly
Wow.
when we take away someone's innocence. And also too, we have to be careful how we treat other people. Because there's a baby Christian, we have to be careful of how we treat them if we deter them from coming to Jesus. They also can be classified as little ones. So you
Well,
do have to be careful.
One part of that scripture that didn't really talk about was when the disciples rebuked the mothers and the children. Jesus was indignant, which really means agitated, angry.
Yeah.
I think he probably was really PO because he just said, "Let the children come to me."
Yeah,
Don't
Here they are.
listen.
they don't listen.
If I was a disciple, I would have listened.
I know you would have, honey.
I
know
would
you
have.
That's the same
You
as
would have
the-
made a great
Thank
disciple.
you.
That's the
Yeah.
same as today, that we don't listen.
If God would have told me too much, if Jesus would have said, "Hey, Linz, you gotta do this. This is what you're supposed to do, and I just absolutely didn't do it.
And you would jump for joy and say,
That's the
I
same
got
thing.
it done, Jesus, it's gonna happen.
This is different.
Because it was
He was
face-to-face.
there.
Some of them probably didn't believe who he really was.
Look, they were following him.
Yeah.
I'm
We
gonna
follow
take
a
my
lot of
son
people
out
we
of
don't
my life
necessarily
and
believe
follow a man.
Here it is, now
Yeah,
here's the
yeah,
conversation,
yeah,
here we go. We'll just let the camera roll, folks.
No, seriously. I never understand. It always bothered me that they were so like.
It might have been for our benefit too.
Who?
It may have been for the benefit of the reader later in
So
history.
you're saying they were not quite so.
Oh, they were by God's making. Judas betrayed Jesus because of God's will, not because he didn't love Jesus, because God made him betray him.
Now that's just too much.
That's just too much.
It's God's will. Remember when Jesus was in the garden? He was human for that moment. He could have called down the angels to save him, but he didn't. He did God's will.
It's all
Does
confusing.
that blow your mind?
Yeah, it's too much.
It is, it's
Just
too much
like,
for our
oh,
little minds to
oh,
handle.
oh.
Yeah. And the more, actually, the more you study and you realize that there's so much more depth
Oh, yeah.
to the Bible than just what you read on the surface. There's just so much deep, rich information there that we overlook because we try to think, oh wow, I gotta read 2 chapters of the Bible right now. I gotta get my daily Bible reading in, and we lose the purpose of getting to know God better and trying to learn more about what do these stories really, what are they saying here?
Yeah, we just read them as if it's a book in our world today. This must be
Yeah,
how we're supposed to act. And then we apply our ways or our understanding to it.
yeah,
And we can't do that because then we don't really learn anything. We
Yeah.
don't grow.
no.
We don't understand.
Well.
What?
Anything else?
I have nothing more, Brady.
Have faith like a child.
Have faith like a child.
Let's act like children.
Let's act like, yeah. Yeah.
Do that.
Okay. Who would like to close with a word of prayer?
No, me,
You
no.
wanna pray?
Yeah.
No.
Good, go ahead.
We'll let, if you don't want to, if you're not comfortable, you can
You
force
go ahead,
Brady to.
Lord, we are thankful for this day. We are thankful for all of your instruction unto us. And we just ask that we can have faith more like children. Not to be childish in how we treat one another, but that we learn to love each other more fully. And that we may not have all the answers, but you do. And we need to look unto you day by day to guide us. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you guys for coming over tonight. It's a long drive, but I know you.
It was rough.
Yeah, it was rough.
Terrible storm outside.
It is. I was.
You might have to
thinking
stay
maybe-
over.
Yeah, I might have to stay over.
Might have
I thought maybe the lights would go out there for a minute because it was storming pretty good. So, okay,
I think
goodbye.
it's still raining.
Oh,
My hearing is so good.
oh, didn't you hear it?
Is it still raining?
Oh, I don't know if it's still raining.